Good morning, everybody. I just had an order from President McManus to introduce our keynote speaker. He's one of the nation's most acclaimed journalists and screenwriters, a longtime member of South Bay, California, Chapter 53. He served a tour of duty as a first Marine lieutenant in the Vietnam War in 1969-70. A former Marshall Scholar at Oxford University, he taught philosophy and political science at the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis after coming home from the war, and then launched his journalism career. He was the founding editor of Texas Monthly magazine in 1972, and later the editor of Newsweek magazine. In 1984, he was one of the first American war veterans to return to Vietnam, a trip that resulted in his amazing 1986 book, Brothers in Arms, A Journey from War to Peace. 2 years later, he created the groundbreaking ABC TV Vietnam War dramatic series, China Beach. He also wrote or co-wrote episodes for China Beach over its entire 4-season run. So he has written or co-written screenplays for a bunch of movies, and I'll just name a few that you probably know: Apollo 13, Castaway, Planet of the Apes, The Polar Express, Flags of Our Fathers, and Jarhead. Most recently, he was one of the featured on-screen contributors to the 2025 Apple TV docuseries, Vietnam, the War That Changed America. Please welcome the keynote speaker for VVA's National Convention, Bill Broyles.
Thank you, Mark, for that wonderful introduction. And thank you, Jack, and all the staff of the VVA, and everyone who helped put this event together. And thanks to all of you. When I appeared in the Apple documentary, they arranged a reunion with my radio man, Jeff Hires. We'd been never more than like 4 feet apart for months, and he saved my life more than once as a numbskull lieutenant, and I did my best by him. When we met, there was nothing to say. We just hung on to each other. We just hung on to each other. And that's kind of what I want to do with you all, is just give you a big hug and say thank you. But I'm going to have to say a few words, so I will. And let me begin with this. Wow. It's great for this 80-year-old to be with so many of you young people. Where's the after party? Now, any of you youngsters old enough to remember Howdy Doody? Captain Bob always started with, "Hey kids, what time is it?" And it was always Howdy Doody time. But here, well, for those of you in the Air Force, it's 10 a.m. For those of you in the Army, it's 1000 hours. For the Navy, it's 4 bells. And for us Marines, well, the big hand is on 12, and the little hand is, I'll get back to you. So, got my dog tags. I haven't had these on for a while. Anybody know what this is? It's a John Wayne can opener. Now, seeing this got me thinking. I'm just going to tell a really brief couple of things from the war, and then I'm going to get on to talking about afterwards. But it got me thinking about those twilight times when we used that little can opener to open our Hammond Mother's sea rats before we heated them up with our C4 explosive. We dug our foxhole, set up our fields of fire, wrote the last letter, sung, "We gotta get out of this place," set the watches, sent out the observation post, settled in to hopefully make it through the night. The last thing was we put out the claymores. I love claymores. Remember, they had a big inscription on the front that said, "This side toward enemy." Wasn't that just the most thoughtful thing? Weren't they really thinking about us? I figured that was really just for us Marines, so we wouldn't get in any trouble. And that was on one of those nights when I was on watch that I saw a shooting star. And I thought, had this chill, I thought that was me. A brief burst of light across the sky, and then gone. I was absolutely sure I was going to buy the farm. I was going to get every one of my men wasted. A few weeks later, I was miraculously still alive. I went to the hospital outside Da Nang to visit some of my wounded men. I walked into a vast warehouse of maimed teenagers. It was too much. I fainted dead away, broke my nose. That was my heroic war wound. The nurse who helped me did her best to undeviate my septum. I had no idea how she did what she did every day, why she would want to be there. Now, our war, it's ancient history. LBJ, Nixon, Westmoreland, Kissinger, they're all long dead, faded into the history books. And look at us. 2,700,000 of us served in Vietnam. 2 million are on the other side, on that farm we thought we were going to buy. Some of their names are on the wall. Others died haunted and in pain, moral and physical, some by their own hand. Others just passed on. It was their time. And ours is coming. We've all got a new D-Rose. We're all short-timers now. Ugh. So why are we here? Why now? I can't speak for any of you. The older I get, the less I know about anything. Let's start with this. Let's take a moment and look at the men and women around us. Just look into their faces. Don't you see something of yourself? Isn't this what we want finally? Each other. We may not know anything about everyone else, our politics, our religion, our resume. We know they're all heroes. We know we were there then, and we are here now. There it is. When I got home from Vietnam and got out of the Marines, I got on with my life. I was fine. I focused on me. I forgot about us. I didn't know about us. I don't think I saw another Vietnam vet 10 years. I worked on building a new career, on starting a family. 12 years after I left Vietnam, I had worked my way to the top of my profession. I was in a position where I could coast comfortably the rest of my life. But something was working through me like a piece of shrapnel, working its way to the surface. When they announced that the Vietnam Memorial was being dedicated in Washington in 1982, I left New York and went to sea. It rocked my world. There you all were, dressed in every which way, from old camis to suits. I ran into Jeff Hires, my old radio man. The floodgates of tears opened up. I had met us again. Late into the night, I helped read the names of the dead in the cathedral. Each name was like a prayer. I spent the rest of the night at the wall. Someone showed up with a flag. We took turns holding it up by the wall all night long. In the polished granite with all the names, I saw my own face reflected back at me. And then I saw them, faces I'd known and hadn't known, staring back at me from the other side. What would they have made with their lives? Why were they out there in there and I out here? What would I make of mine? That was it. I left my successful job. I went to see Hires and the other men in my platoon. They were good men, honorable. They would have hit the beach at Iwo or Normandy. But they didn't get that war. They would give their lives for each other. No question. I was so proud to know them. I helped organize the New York Vietnam Memorial and that parade in 1985. I don't know if any of you were there. 15,000 of us came over the Brooklyn Bridge singing Born in the USA, and 1 million New Yorkers turned out to welcome us home. Better late than never. And suddenly my whole life revolved around Vietnam. That nurse who helped me when I fainted, she was the inspiration for China Beach. The shooting star I thought was a sign of my death, it was Apollo 13 on its ill-fated journey to the moon. And that became my first film. Vietnam is in so much of my film work, from Jarhead to Flags of Our Fathers to Castaway, Polar Express, which I wrote, Castaway I wrote is my coming home from Vietnam movie. Out of our darkest hours sometimes comes our finest moments, even if it sometimes takes years, a lot of years. I've had so many times when I thought it was all behind me. Just this Christmas, my family was home, my wife, kids, grandkids, tree was up, Motown Christmas was playing. I went into the fridge to get a bottle of Topo Chico. Those of you who don't know, it's Mexican club soda. Pulled out the bottle, and before I could open it, it exploded right into my face. Broken glass and spray right in my face, like a mortar round kicking up the mud. And there I was, right back there. You know that feeling, that moment in the grocery store, or putting your kids to bed, or when a car backfires, and it's right now. My father-in-law was a B-25 pilot in World War II. One night they couldn't reach the target in Germany, so they dropped their bombs on what he thought was an Italian field. Turned out to be a village. He never got over it. It was always right now for him, into his 90s. My son was in special ops in Iraq and Afghanistan. It's right now for him too. And the men and women in the midst of war in Gaza and Ukraine, all over the world, they're living it right now, laying down memories that will never leave them. War is always right now. And well, you hated the war and what it had done to you and what you might have done when you got home to your family. You loved it too, for you the love you share with other men. Together you witnessed the darkness and the beauty, and you knew that only that they truly got the cosmic joke. There was no horror like that horror, no laughter like that laughter, no trust like that trust. On a patrol, your present moment awareness was maxed out, had to be, or you'd have no future. Be here now or be dead now. You bend over to stir your sea ration, the sniper bullet hits the guy behind you. You walk across the paddy dike barely wide enough for your boots, and the fifth guy behind you steps on the mud. You miss the tripwire. You take the fork in the trail away from the ambush. You were off base when the sappers slide through the wire on a rainy night and the choppers can't fly. You might not have any future anyway, and that was okay, because the best way to make it through the war was to act like you were already dead. If your wife or girlfriend sent cookies or a breakup Dear John letter, you'd share it. You'd share the last drop of water or the last bite of your spiced beef sea ration. You knew if you were wounded, they'd come out and get you. You'd give your life for them and they for you. It came to that. Back in the world, you missed all that. You missed knowing that every day what you did mattered. That every step you took was not just for yourself, but for them. Then suddenly your Freedom Bird calendar got filled in and you took the 707 back home and boom, it was all gone. Like a dream or a bad acid trip. They were all gone too. All the men who had supported you, who had been by your side, who you depended on you. They had gone back to the world before you or were serving out their year after you. Maybe you had serious wounds, had lost an eye or a limb and been disfigured by burns and carried those scars still. Maybe you weren't wounded, but there were other wounds. Things you've seen or done in the universe of death that no one should ever have to see or do. Spiritual wounds, moral injuries, which hopefully you did not pass on. Together you train, together you have your civilian lives and values stripped away along with your clothes and your hair. Together you become part of a unit where you're trained to kill or die for its mission. Then you get out, and you're all alone. All those resources devoted to turning you into a warrior, none devoted to making you a civilian again, a father, a brother, a son. You were supposed to want to learn that all on your own. So you ended up back home with your family, and they couldn't help you, not with the things in the dark places you kept getting triggered back into. Maybe you got a job and went to work every day and looked out for yourself and your family. There was something missing, some sense of belonging to something bigger, of counting, memories of when you lived out beyond the narrow spectrum of ordinary life, touched places of darkness in life that people rarely see back in the world. I learned more from those teenagers in my platoon being in the Marines than I learned at college or at Oxford. I learned that if I thought my pack was so heavy I couldn't take another step, I could go on for miles. I learned if I was hungry or scared, I could keep going. If others depended on me, I couldn't let them down. That I didn't know everything, that every single person had something of value, that you never left anyone behind. That if I had to tell someone to do something because I was the boss or the lieutenant, I had failed. That we were stronger together. That we need others, that being alone was to be dead. That to serve was better than to take. What I've also finally learned, it took me almost 50 years, I'm a slow learner, we don't have two lives, our life over there and our life back here in the world. Vietnam is our world. It lives in us. We don't have to get out of this place if it's the last thing we ever do. It's who we are. Bad and the good, the dark and the light. We are part of history. We did it with the best we could. I've been digging into this for mysteries for years now. I've prayed with Zen masters, Hindu saints, and Christian mystics. I walked pilgrimages for hundreds of miles to Santiago de Compostela, from Assisi to Rome in the footsteps of St. Francis. He was a warrior like us and a POW, and he became a man of peace. I've done psychedelic ceremonies with healers and shamans and therapies to help cure things. I've gone deep into my own wounds and the wounds I've caused others. I've experienced my own death so many times I no longer fear it. I don't have to think I'm already dead. I've learned that the best cure for the fear of dying is to live, to embrace life as it is and myself who I am. To, yes, love. Love everyone and everything because the kingdom of God is in each of us and we are all one. That is the healing power in our own minds and hearts. When I went back to Vietnam 40 years ago to meet my old enemies, I encountered a Viet Cong woman on the road near my old base. Her husband had been killed there during the war. As it talked and clear that he'd been killed where I had patrolled with my platoon, I told her we might have killed her husband. She looked at me and she said, but that was during the war. The war is over. She invited me to her home. There was a family altar, including a photo of her husband. She served me tea. Back then, I felt humbled and unsure I could have had that forgiveness. But now I have forgiven so much and forgiven myself. The war is over, even as it lives on in us. Peace is a beautiful thing, a fragile thing. We no longer have to search and destroy. We can seek and find. We can be proud of what we've done. We did our best, did our jobs. We served our country well. Sing Loy, there it is. Don't mean nothing, but it does. It means everything. Our packs, I hope, are lighter now. Our burdens less. We are still together, walking each other home until that last freedom bird picks us up. It really is always howdy-doody time. Clock doesn't matter. It's now, it's always now, and we are always here, right here, with each other, where we belong. Semper Fi, bless you all.
It is my distinct honor and privilege to present Vietnam Veterans of America Lifetime Achievement Award, William Broyles, Jr., August 6, 2025, in New Orleans, Louisiana. Congratulations, Bill.
Thank you all. I love you all. I wouldn't be the man I was and am without you, and I thank you.
Thank you.